DJI just dropped the new Osmo Action 6, and this camera caught my attention when it launched because it has a ton of incredible new features that, as a content creator in the automotive niche, this thing has so much incredible potential. I am actually headed to Vancouver for a trip, so I'm gonna film a bunch of footage with this camera for my trip, so kind of do a little bit of a vlog style behind the scenes, and I'll overlay some of that footage while I talk about the camera. And fortunately, we have TELESIN, who is the sponsor of today's video, because they're gonna help us deck this out with ND filters, a cage, and a ton of great accessories. So I'll show you all that stuff in a second, because to me, it actually helps make this camera even better than it already is at launch. So there's three things that really stood out for me when they launched this camera, and the first is that variable aperture. Now there's a bit of a caveat on that variable aperture, because if you've watched any reviews like I have, that actually doesn't mean that you get to fully control this like a manual aperture like you would on a full frame camera. It has more or less like a 3-step aperture system. And I would suggest even that it's best used in automatic, because then the camera is actually controlling the aperture to adjust depth and adjust for light and all the things that it knows how to do to adjust for exposure appropriately. Now, if you're using this in manual mode, here's the caveat. Essentially, when you're in manual mode, you can choose between 3 fixed apertures. You have f2.6, you have f2.8, and f4.0. Now, something that you need to know is that each of these, and it says on the screen here, is that each of these come with a different minimum focusing distance. So if you've seen any of the reviews, if you hold this a certain distance away from you, you might actually not be fully in focus. The background might be in focus. So that's something to be really intentional with when you're actually setting this up, is to make sure to pick your aperture wisely. Obviously, there's some huge perks to being able to have a variable aperture. It's adjusting for the highlights and being able to expose much better on the fly. When you shoot in automatic exposure mode, you can pick which aperture values you want to use. So you can allow it to adjust between f2 and f4, and it will do that on its own. So that's kind of nice. And honestly, that's kind of where these DJI Action cameras kind of shine, is setting the boundaries in which it can work and then letting it adjust the automatic exposure. Another big thing to recognize here is when it's using auto ISO, the values don't just shift from 100 to 200 to 400. It actually can use ISO values in between, so 250 or 230. Now, the second thing that's really great with the DJI Action 6 is that it's following true to suit with all the other DJI cameras, and that it has D-Log M in 10-bit color. So this actually turns it from just an action camera to something that you can match pretty well with other cinematic projects that you're working on. Because if you're just using 8-bit color, you're really limiting how far you can push your color grades and how well you can match it with cinema level cameras or any other cameras that you might want. So I love using D-Log M and 10-bit color. If you have any issues with color grading, they have their Rec 709 conversion LUTs on the website, so you don't really have to worry about it. They make it pretty simple to use. If you guys are interested in specific looks for your images, you can check out my cinematic LUT preset. This goes on top of your Rec 709 footage and just gives it that polished look. So I'll leave a description down below for you guys and a discount code so you can go check that out as well. But I'm using them now. I'm using them on all the footage that you're seeing here. So if you like it, you might like those as well. In order to get the best quality out of your action cameras, you want to be able to set the boundaries and then use ND filters to ensure that you're actually setting your shutter speed appropriately and getting motion blur like you can see here. Typically, when you're using your phone or action cameras and you just set the exposure automatically, you're gonna have like really over sharpened footage. So this way you can actually control the amount of shutter speed that's coming into the camera and ideally get some of that real life motion blur, bringing this closer to a cinematic camera. So that's where TELESIN comes in. They sponsored today's video and they sent me some really wicked accessories, so I highly recommend looking into them. The first of which is this awesome cage. You can just slide the camera in there, lock it in place, and it has a variable ND filter, and it just slides on the front of the camera, nice and easy. And now we have a 1 to 5 stop variable ND filter. TELESIN also sent along this carrying case, which is really nice. It'll obviously fit the camera, a cage. This one is their silicone case here. It'll fit a couple of batteries and any of the mounting kits that you have for your camera, along with a CPL, an ND8, ND16, ND32. Now, they're all kind of sold separately, but the case holds it all quite nicely, so that might be something you're interested in. So thank you so much, TELESIN, for sponsoring this video, because this is actually going to turn this action camera from a little do-jiggy to an actually like really sweet camera rig. This thing is awesome. It actually feels really nice in the hand when you have that grip on the side, and it's still really easy to access things like the battery, get the camera out, start and stop the thing, add the mounts on the bottom. It's all really well thought out and feels really good. I'll leave the link for all these accessories down in the description below. You can go check them out. Getting into the third thing that really changes this camera for me and why I was really interested in picking it up is the square sensor. Where I think that square sensors are going is kind of interesting. Apple is now using square sensors in the front camera of their phones. DJI is developing square sensors for their 360 cameras and now for the Action 6 camera. And what's so interesting about this and where kind of the world seems to be going, content creators like myself, I'm often creating content for web and for social. So having the ability to film something once, be intentional with my framing, but use the guidelines that it has on here to see where it's gonna land on, say, YouTube, which is where you're watching this, or on social media is really nice. So honestly, this feature is exciting for me. It's the reason that I purchased this camera. It's the reason why I would maybe recommend you purchase the camera. If you're someone that loves creating content for YouTube or for social media, this one and done camera is really awesome. I've actually never owned a DJI Action camera like the Action 4, 5, or 6. And having this front-facing camera as well, which you can actually control the settings on here if you swipe up. I've been having a few issues with actually getting that swipe to work, if I'm being honest, but when it does work, it's nice because you can still adjust all the exposure settings and all the things on the front here and change settings from 4K, 60 all the way to, you know, your RockSteady settings and all those things. So you can do that all from the front camera and see what your framing is looking like as well. Now, as I mentioned, RockSteady is so great. It's like very steady. For someone like me, sometimes mounting cameras on cars, which I do a lot, having the ability to show the visceral action and turn off all the stabilization kind of brings you into the action, which is awesome. But for your average user, I would say turn RockSteady on. RockSteady Plus is maybe a bit more than you even need. So RockSteady version 1 is plenty good and super stable for anyone who's going to be walking with the camera, or if you're mounting it to cars and you want it to be stable. There's also a horizon lock feature on here which will help you out as well. Now those three things were really why I bought the camera, but on top of that, the spec sheet for this camera is really worth looking into. You get 4K up to 120 frames per second. Like I said, you get D-Log-M 10-bit color. You can connect your DJI microphones to the camera wirelessly, turning this into a really great vlog camera. And this is what it sounds like with the wireless microphone, which is nice because now I don't have to stand right in front of you. The battery life is definitely very good, and if you have any of the accessories from previous Action cameras or the Osmo 360 camera, it all works with this system as well. Another thing that I really enjoy that DJI is starting to integrate into their cameras is that it has built-in internal storage. So while you can put an SD card in and get more storage, you can really pull these cameras out of the box, register them to yourself, and you can start filming with these things. It's really sweet. I honestly like that, so you're not always swapping cards between your cameras or your drone or your other Action cameras. You don't have to worry about it anymore. So thanks DJI for thinking of that and putting that in your cameras. So DJI has really come out with a bit of a banger camera in my opinion, and these TELESIN accessories genuinely make it more fun to use. I'm loving these new features. The square sensor, I'm so curious where square sensors are gonna go in the future. Is every camera gonna be a square sensor soon? Because like, why the heck not? Why not use more real estate? Having variable aperture in an Action camera, another first and beginning of what could be so crazy as Action cameras keep developing in the future. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Is this interesting to you? Is it not? And then obviously with great accessories, you can actually turn this into a really powerful daily vlogging camera, Action camera, mounting to car camera. It's kind of sweet. I really like it. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, you might enjoy that video there, and you might consider subscribing to the channel here. I think you can hype these videos on YouTube, so if you enjoyed it, go find the hype button and tell your friends about it, and it helps me. Don't forget, check all the links in the description below. It really helps out the channel. All right, peace, guys.